students from the age of 11, they can focus on both a sporting elite training program with Jason or with Dan in terms of tennis or golf. They will enter at that point at 11 years old the middle years program. That's what we call the future ACES students. They are in M1, M2 and M3, so from 11 years old to 14 years old. From 14 years old to 16 years old, we have a program called the Junior ACES. Those students come to school in the mornings and they complete the core of their middle years program, and then they leave at 2 o'clock to go and do some intensive training with their coaches at the Jason Floyd Academy or at the SotoTennis Academy down in Soto Grande. So those two programs are designed with education and sport in mind. Now, when a student gets to the age of 16, they need to make some choices, and ultimately the choices they make are what choice of international A level they make, whether they focus entirely upon academics, whether they move into the world of professional sport. What we aim to do with the Elite ACES brand is to create a balance between those two things, which means ultimately you don't have to compromise on any of those aspects of your daily routine. Students will train in the morning, 9 till 1, 9 till 2 in the case of you guys at the Tennis Academy. And then they come to school and they've got lessons between 3 o'clock and potentially 8 o'clock at night, depending on their choice of subjects.
I think the big thing, Chris, to probably try and get across on that is how closely we're all working together as a team as well. You know, to make sure that if there is a student that is behind at school, you know, we're not saying actually get on the tennis court. We're saying in order for you to be on the tennis court and be able to travel, be able to do these special things that we can offer within the program, you have to be taking care of your work. You know, that communication is very strong between yourself as head of ACES program and then Charles, head of the boarding school as well. You know, and I think that's something that sort of works very well within the program.
I think that ties in really well, as we know, with, you know, if some of our students decide to go on to college, and certainly maybe in the US, for example, and they go on a college scholarship, a college team, if they don't keep up with their academics, then their sport will go down as well, and obviously college coaches will remove them from that college. So it's great that they get in that mindset, they understand the importance of academics. Whilst, as we know, we're kids, we're very passionate about the sport, and sometimes kids like to put sort of the academic side down a little bit, but I think there's a great thing what you guys do is that you obviously create the awareness of the importance, but also allow them with the adaptive approach that you have, is to allow them to study at their pace. Blends really well with, obviously, if they're now training on tennis court, they're with us on the golf side of things, and if they go away to compete as well, the online coaching that you have is fantastic. It really works well. It's very flexible for the guys.
So let me explain a little bit about that. So basically what we're doing is we're creating platforms that are they've open access to students. So students get access to resources that are available for when they're not physically here. We appreciate that normally a tournament schedule for these students can sometimes go up to almost 50, maybe 50 working days a year. So we've recognised the fact that not only do those students need to keep in touch with their teachers. So yesterday, for example, I was on the telephone to Bo in Holland, who's currently at a golf tournament, to do his economics lesson. But I know this happens all the time. So when people are away at tournaments, they can Skype, they can call, they can talk to us. We've got that kind of flexibility to be able to do that in our program.
You know that's not normal, either.
I know that's not normal. I know it's not normal.
We're very
I know it
fortunate
isn't.
to have that.
But we also have the opportunity to put an awful lot. We use a Google Site system, so you can put exercises up there, you can put syllabuses, you can put exam papers. So when students are away, then they can still access the material. They can still get. It's not the same as face-to-face communication. Obviously, it never will be. But ultimately, it keeps them accessed. It keeps them on the ball, even when they're not physically here.
And I think the players understand that as well, and that's something that is driven in on the boarding house, and that's something that's driven at the sports academies as well. That actually they have a job to do. you know, in order to...
They almost respect it, don't they? They
Yeah,
respect that they have to hold their end of the bargain because they
Yeah.
appreciate the extra work that's being done for them, so they can actually now go ahead and play their chosen sport.
And with the close links between the school, the academy, with the boarding house, we were able to chase pieces of work up within the boarding community because we know how their schooling is mapped and how to put into place extra prep sessions if necessary, and communicate with the sports academies as well with regards to who is excelling within the school, but also who needs a bit of a push sometimes as well.
I see you as a really key link. You know, you're kind of like a father figure for the students.
And for us.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they live here, don't they? I mean,
Yeah.
They live here permanently, and I think that changes the mentality of the student, doesn't it? It makes them a lot more mature, I feel.
I think that's
What's the youngest students you have in your board?
We're 11 to 18,
So you have got as young as 11-year-old students down
yeah.
there. Okay.
And so we've got 80 boarders within the boarding house and 22 different nationalities. So it's a really diverse makeup within the boarding house, and it's fantastic. The sports specialists completely dedicated to their sports, but also we've got academic specialists, and so it's like a small world in one, if you like. Also the facilities within the boarding house and just out in the surrounding area really lend themselves to academic excellence, but also sporting excellence as well. Our gym is incredible for the number of students that we have, and it's used by many of them, as is this local tennis court and paddle court as well.
Oh, right, okay.
I think that's a great thing to have, because obviously a lot of parents and a lot of kids still have an element of fear, especially kids that are going away from the comfort of their home, and to be able to go away from more of a home-to-home feel, the way they're looked after by you guys, I think is a great foundation. They can then go ahead, they can do their academics, they can then excel in their sport.
Yeah, well within the boarding house, what we aim to create is a home away from home. Is to have that family atmosphere. We have a structure within the boarding house of we have 5 permanent resident members of staff that live on site, but a number of visiting staff as well. The quality of the food provision within the boarding house is outstanding.
It's great for athletes, isn't it?
Yeah.
They need that nutritional education as well.
What we always ensure for every dinner time is there's a fresh salad bar, fresh fruit bar. There's always a chicken option, as well as another cooked meat or cooked fish option. So there's a real emphasis on healthy eating within the boarding house.
And I think for us, certainly as an academy, we always used to find when we're setting the culture of the academy, we're only really with these students for 6 or 8 hours. So we call them the other 16 hours. So years ago, obviously this has been a partnership going now for 3 or 4 years, but before that, it was very much, look, we're working so hard to get them in the right mentality to do these things, but then what's happening in those other 16 hours, and I know for me personally, I know me and Jason have spoke about this as well, we take great comfort now knowing that those same values are being installed in the school environment, those same values being installed in the boarding environment. So and because the communication is working so nicely and seamlessly, and we're making sure that there's no cracks within that for the players to get into, which they will. You know, kids are kids and people are people. You know, if there's a crack to go in, people will manipulate it, and that for us has worked very well, and we've seen then a big difference across the board in how that comes across.
It was interesting the other day. I sat down with one of the tennis academy boys actually, and we were having a discussion about how he's getting on and how we can help him, etc. And he said to me, "You're starting to sound like Dan." So I think that's
As a compliment? Or?
I don't think he found it as one because we were both nagging him. But I think that's testament, with regards to how closely that we do work together as a team.
Yeah, definitely.
Great to have that consistency of language.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah, because it's how I see it at the ACES program. You get sporting excellence, you get academic excellence, but it's also about giving life skill excellence as well, and whether that's the social aspect, whether that's the cultural aspect, whether that's the life skills, the time management, the independence, the learning to deal with disappointment, the learning to deal with pressure, the learning to do all of these things within the program. And I think now that with all the aspects now working so well together, it really is unbelievable what these student athletes are taking from this, and already now we're starting to see the first few that have come through the programme, what they're going on to do.
Ultimately, that is the goal, isn't it? That these students
completely.
go to college, they go to university, whether it's in the UK, whether it's around Europe, whether it's in the US.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to the US, a lot of these guys are going to get access to scholarships through the NCAA. You know, that is the aim, that we prepare them properly for that. Not just academically, but with the life skills as well. And as an athlete or just as a person, you know, that they actually develop those skills and become a rounded, valued member of society. You know, that's what our ultimate aim is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we're doing a good job of that.
Without question. Yeah, and different people will go into different aspects as they move on, but as we talked about with Jack earlier, we're giving them opportunity, you know, and putting them in a position where they're going to have opportunities to go which way they want to go. And because I know in the tennis world and in the golf world as well, the number of students from an early age that I want to be a professional sports person, and then have maybe just pushed us up to the side of the academics, get to the age of 16, whether it's an injury, and that can be a physical injury or even a mental injury of just actually I can't do this anymore. You know, there's far from a guarantee that you're going to be a professional sportsman or sportswoman. You know, so we're making sure that all of those dots are connecting. And then secondly, you have a successful, it's a little bit different in golf, you all farts in golf go till, but in tennis, a successful tennis career ends at 30. If you have a really successful tennis career at 30, so that's another 40 years of working, and I think it's really important that we're educating our student athletes on that, which I think we're doing a good job on.
I think what we find is that character development then allows the athlete then to really kick on within their sport anyway. They're more secure as a person, they can be more focused, they can be more organised, more disciplined, all of those life skills, social skills. As we know, kids when they're younger, they tend to have a lot of insecurities. That can really get in the way, it can interfere with their progress and their performance. So if they're now more at ease with themselves, more at ease within their environment, they know they're going home now to the boarding house, they've got their friends there, they know they're being looked after, they feel safe, secure, comfortable. All of these little percentages really help, especially most of these guys are really fine-tuned athletes, and these little 1% and 2% make a huge difference in their chosen sport.
And Charles, what about weekend activities? I know that's something that we certainly get great feedback on.
Yeah,
the boarding house.
The weekend activities is a huge strength amongst many within the boarding house. We do push the boundaries when it comes to weekend activities. Last weekend we had students land sailing, which is with sailboats, but on buggies essentially. We've got a few students jumping out of planes in a couple of weeks' time, going skydiving. But we do a big activity. There isn't Saturday school, and so we do a big activity on the Saturday to get the students out of the boarding house doing something. And what we're aiming to do is not just do sporting activities, not just do cultural activities, but do a mixture of different things. They are hugely popular. Equally, if some of the students have tournaments over the weekends, that we can facilitate that as well.
Look at where we are. I mean, we haven't mentioned it. I mean, we're here in Soto Grande. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. We have the climate, which is amazing. We have 20 degrees of heat in the winter time, when unfortunately some of our cousins in Northern Europe are suffering away in the freezing cold. You've got beautiful natural parks, beautiful beaches. You've got mountains nearby. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. I mean, it's kind of like a California of Europe. If anybody hasn't been here and they haven't really experienced it.
And this is one of the things that I've really noticed from my background, sort of British private schools, but working within the international sector now, particularly amongst the borders, is that because of the weather, the borders are outside a huge amount more. They are doing things. They are active. They are. It just encourages that element. So there's less screen time. Less time indoors, and so it does produce a healthier teenager as well.
Me, you've actually found the formula to get them off their phones.
A little bit sometimes.
Kick them out.
Kick them off social media. It's good. Throw it into the beach. That's great stuff.
Logistics-wise, in terms of transport and
Meal times.
Well, what what tends to happen is the two academies have slightly different timetables, and we're able to be flexible around those with regards to meals. We ensure that all the students have freshly cooked meals depending on their timetable. So for instance, the tennis players,
We get up earlier than them.
they get up early, and so they'll have breakfast at 7 o'clock, whereas the majority of the boarding house will have breakfast at 7:45. But we cater for all individuals within the boarding house. Dinner is served between 7:45 and 8:15, and all the academy commitments are completed by that time. The golfers, they come back at 8 o'clock usually, and so they're back within that window. So we are an incredibly progressive educational institution. We are flexible, we're modern in our approach, and because of that, we do have flexibility as well. And so my massive passion is that boarders have the best chances in life, and so if we can facilitate any aspects of their life with regards to sport, with regards to education, that's what we're aiming to do.
Right, good. And you guys do a great job on it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the amount of moving students around and making sure that students are in the right place at the right time, I think it's something which probably not high on people's list of priorities, but actually it is really essential to have people where you need them, when you need them there, and it really helps. I think. Obviously, we're working with distinct geographical sites, but that's the nature of what we do, isn't it?
It just makes it more seamless, it
around.
maximises their time.
It does.
And then from there it keeps them focused, as we know kids tend to get very easily distracted. So I think just the fact that they know that they're going to be in a certain place at a certain time, what's coming up next, so they have great clarity, I think, in their day-to-day structure.
And having that equal importance, I think, on that as well, of if they're not performing as we want them to perform. I know that myself and Charles have certainly had this with a couple of students in our time. You know, that we're able to, we just pick the phone up to each other, we're able to knock that on the head as quick as we can.
Dial out the monkey business.
Yeah, which, you know, and actually, again, that's, people might not put so much importance on that, but I've worked with different academic institutes in different places in my time as a tennis player and as a tennis coach, and it really truly is unique to have that communication working in that way. And to have that, and again, I'm repeating what I said when we spoke earlier, but that mentality, you know, that joined up thinking, that mentality, and that's what's been so refreshing for me. And I think as this program continues to grow, I think more and more people are going to benefit from it, and I think it's going to be a very sought after program to be after, because I don't believe that it's happening in too many places, you know.
It's that mentality and professionalism that ultimately filters through to the kids. They then become, you know, from a day-to-day, obviously they're living this day-to-day scheduling and programming and services that we're giving them, and therefore through their own experience, which is probably the most powerful way to learn, they can then now adjust and they can now adapt that and then put it into their own game or the way that they approach learning or the way they just organise themselves. So again, that comes back to that character development. So.
I think it's the care as well. Is if if you mention something with regards to school, or they come back and I'm speaking with them with regards to school or their sporting life, it just shows that there's the care there, there's the joined up thinking, there's the all-round careful.
And the genuine care for each individual, you know, which is how this has all been said about. You know, that we are all quite boutique in our thinking, you know, boutique in our sizes. We're not talking about mass numbers. You know, we're able to genuinely take care of each individual